Well, good morning, everybody. And I'm excited. I have a guest who's a writer, Ruth Glover. Hey, Ruth,
Hi there, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So, Ruth, you usually write, I hear about travel.
Well, I've written about travel and I also have four books that I have written. So this is the fourth one. And I didn't realize till I finished my book, recent book, that it's a little similar to the first one in that it sort of kind of, I interviewed a bunch of people about their careers and
Oh,
and then
wow.
to show them that they could do it. And I didn't even realize it until after I finished the coping book that I was doing the same thing.
Isn't that interesting? So we don't know what we're doing till we're done doing it. And then we look back and go, oh, huh. I think I figured out what I've been doing the whole time,
Oh,
but I didn't know that's what I was doing because I was doing it. And it's only when you're done doing it that you can look back and go, isn't that interesting?
yeah. Well, that part was interesting. The stories were very interesting both times.
Yeah. So you decided, or it came to you or it happened to you that you decided to do this focus on this book. So tell us what you focused on and then tell us how you got to that place where you were focusing on that.
Well, we moved to Katy from Dallas 5 years ago, and I found the letters that I had written to my mother uh, about 20 years ago. And I have always felt guilty. And I thought, why don't I write a story about this so that people can know that they can get through it? Well, it was too short for my liking. And I talked to people and I decided, then they all both told me it was either too short or too long. Those were the publishers that I connected with. I think it was just two of them before I said, well, I'll just do it myself, and so then I decided that I needed to put more to work on it. And I would interview people. I live in an over 55 community. And I thought, well, I know a lot of people that are having a lot of difficulty, just like I did. But let's extend that. And I wrote a bunch of requirements of myself to put in the book. I wanted somebody that would be, I wanted them to be a diverse group of people. I wanted them to have male and female. I really wanted to interview a lot of different kinds of people.
Yeah.
So it was about how they got through it, how they got through it. I did, but I still feeling guilty and I didn't want
Well,
them.
there's still that. Yeah. And so that sort of desire to have a legacy, and the legacy is let's let go of the guilt. Tell the story. What did we learn? How did we move forward? How did we learn to get through things that are hard things to get through? So the title, but hold your book up, Bruce, so everybody can see it, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's coping the many faces of caring and recognizing that, wow, caring has lots of different perspectives, views, ways of going about this. Now, I want to take you back to your mom's story. So tell us a little bit about the letters and the mom and why that called to you. I need to do something with this. I'm not finished. It's not done. It needs to get completed. Something about that.
Well, it was one of the reasons that I did it is because I felt that publishers wouldn't look at it because one of the things I had was my dad spoke in the book, and he's been dead for many, many, many years. And
Yeah.
then other aspect of it was that I wrote letters to my mother, and I am a writer, and why didn't I share this with somebody else? So
Yeah. Because the letters you wrote were well written letters. It wasn't like there weren't well written letters
no,
in that you did
they
a
were
good
letters.
job.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
about what did you have for dinner last night and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I'll tell you that even though I like to keep it private, my names are changed in the story about me. Um, it was really a wonderful experience because I kind of lost my guilt along the way.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah. Because
and
as you look back over those letters and you really thought about what you were doing and what you were offering in that care you were providing, those kinds of things that you were checking out and you were doing actually ended up having value. And at the time, it probably felt less than what other people might have been offering, but it turned out, it was what you could offer at that time. And,
Well,
you
I
know,
was a distant daughter. That's
yeah.
one of the chapters. It's actually more like a little novella at the end of the book. And it really shows that there was a lot of changes that I didn't realize about until I wrote about it.
Yeah, yeah. And so some of the care situations and scenarios and pictures that you explore, what were a couple of them, Ruth, that really spoke to you? I know you went for diversity and you went for lots of different situations, but what were a couple that really stood out for you that, boy, are you glad you included those stories?
Well, I really like the one about the lady that did everything right. And she was not the she was the caretaker, but she fixed everything just right up. I couldn't believe that she did everything that she should do.
Wow.
She was just wonderful.
She's
Her
the goody two shoes that we all wish we were and we aren't. I mean, but I mean, if you look at it as, wow, she did a fantastic job, that's something to model myself after, but I don't have to achieve everything she achieved in
right.
order to feel decent about what I did. It's like, wow, though. I mean, that
Well,
was
it
remarkable.
has to do with personality too. Everyone is different. And so there's not going to be another one like that one. But she was the daughter and she was able to get her uh, into an opportunity for progressive uh, caretaking. And it worked out fine because she had young children. And
Yeah.
I was just real pleased about that. And then I
That's
also was pleased about the one where the children were very upset about dad wanting to remarry.
yeah, and that is such a common theme where it's like, no, time should have stopped for him. I mean, wait a minute, that should be over. And wait,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's always such an interesting thing to watch younger people look at older people and go, well, you think, yeah, I guess we set that up because we said things like, this is what you should do when you were younger. And so now the reversal is like, well, this is what you should do now that you're older. And it's like, yeah, that's different.
They were really upset with him for that, and he felt bad because he didn't want them to drop them, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so those like crossroads that you get to, like, how am I going to move this forward? We're really at a crossroads. And I think one of the neat things about the stories that you selected to sort of include in the stories and the pieces that people often comes to crossroads or breaks, like switches, and which one am I going to do and how am I going to do this? And what does that leave undone? And what does that leave out? And what does it include? And how's this going to turn out? It's like, well, you don't actually know till you finish the story. It's that kind of life thing.
Well, a surprising thing happened just this week. One of the stories, I thought, well, she's never going to get what she wants. She wanted her things,
Mhm.
and she they were in a different state, and she really wanted her things. And I, based on what was going on with her husband, I was not sure that that would happen, but she managed to buy another house, and the military helped with moving him, and she got all her stuff this week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So, I mean, just when you think the story is over and you think what the ending's going to be, it turns out, oh, well, windows open, doors open, things change. And so this idea of coping,
yeah,
and you got to cope. And then all of a sudden, maybe you don't have to cope in the same way you did before because life is ever changing. And
yes,
that,
exactly.
yeah, we talk a lot about change and how you have to learn to live with this ever changing place that we live in. And the one thing we know is things are going to change. So it's like, what are you
Well,
going to
I
do with that?
also think personality has an awful lot to do with every one of the stories. And that's what I aim for because I don't have any medical background to be judgmental or telling anything. This is not a self-help book. This is a book about how people can get through it.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, it's not trying to prescribe what people should do, but observe what people do and how they get from place to place and how it starts here and goes there. And then, we backtrack and then we step over here and then we figure that out. For many people, watching and listening and paying attention can inform what comes next for you. But you won't know what of that you're going to use till you're in that moment and you go, oh, you know what, this is like what the lady did in that story. But it's sort of like you're in it before you realize, oh, look, I'm doing that story right now.
Well, that's really why I wrote it, is because I didn't think, I thought my story was unique. Ho,
Huh?
ho, ho, you know. I was the one that learned the most writing the book, I think.
Well, and it sounds like not only learn, but gave yourself grace.
That's a good point. Very good. Because grace is very difficult to have sometimes.
Yeah, it is. The woulda, coulda, shouldas.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like recognizing, oh, now that I've done it this way, I can let go of some of that sense of that and just be present with where I'm at and where I've come and what was behind me and how I got here and celebrate what's possible in front of us instead of grieving what we can't go. There's no do-overs. I mean, there's move forwards, but there's not do-overs.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I learned in doing the book was that my mother probably had a serious case of dementia, and I didn't see it. I just knew she'd had a stroke, and she was a little strange, but that was a long time ago. It was just such a relief to know that there's a way that I could have helped her more, but it wasn't there then.
That it wasn't there yet. Yeah, when my grandfather moved in with us, I mean, we look back now, he clearly had vascular dementia, but at the time he was just weird. He was getting weird. He got himself in trouble. He couldn't live in the apartment anymore because he kept going to other people's apartments and trying to fix their sinks and stuff and claimed that he was the superintendent and that wasn't working. And so he got to come and live with us. But we thought he was just eccentric and a little weird. And sometimes he's better than others. But we didn't use words like that back then. I
Yeah.
mean, he was senile a little bit, but everybody got senile
Yes, exactly.
and everybody does get senile, but that doesn't mean what we thought it meant before.
Yeah. Well,
But so we wanted to let people know about the book because we think that just like you, by reading stories of others, we can start to better understand our own journey and appreciate where we are and what we're doing and maybe how we got where we are and maybe where we could go next. And so that's really exciting. And we really appreciate the fact that you did this and you shared this, because not everybody does that. We sort of look at the letters and grieve, oh yeah, but then we stop there. But that
well,
was just the beginning.
and that's what I'm telling people, because that's really true. It's not just for the caretakers, because they're not going to be caretakers forever.
No, there'll come a time that we need care and support. I mean, that's the truth for all of us. We all have needs that we'll need support with and we'll need care for. And to think that we're going to be these forever, I'm the only one. It's like, yeah, it's not going to work like that. So get over it. Get over
Yeah,
yourself.
we all go through dark times, but sometimes we think we're the only one ever. So
Yeah. So thank you, Ruth, for the work you did and for sharing it. And so we have on the page, we have how you can get up with Ruth's website, how you can buy the book on Amazon, how you can preview it, look at it, because I think you can look at the page, you can look at like one of those, you can look inside for a minute. That's what Amazon does. And we want to say thank you for all the hard work you put into this and heart.
I'm really glad I got to meet you and to work with you today. Thank you for letting me into your life.
Absolutely. And thanks again for all the hard work you to get on, because we had a bit of a challenge. Ruth had a different computer than she was used to, and we had to figure out all the details of getting her visible and audio. And it was a bit of a challenge, but she came back. She used her caretaker, which was her husband, in the computer. And all told, we put it all together. And so we are very grateful. So thank you, Ruth, for what you've done. And thanks to everybody out there for all you do. Take care with your care. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.